So today we're talking about one of my favorite movies, Pulp Fiction. It was directed by Quentin Tarantino. It starred Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta, and Uma Thurman had a pretty big role in it. Came out in 1994. I don't think I saw it in 1994. I think I was still too young. But as soon as I saw it, it was instantly one of my favorites.
Yeah. So tell me more. I mean, why was it instantly one of your favorites?
There's so many memorable lines from this movie, and the characters are so cool. Even the characters that aren't very likable, that are kind of annoying, you still just enjoy. You enjoy all their presence, like them all mixing together. But ultimately,
except for Bruce Willis's girlfriend, right?
No,
I don't think everyone can enjoy it.
Well, yeah, no, she had her moments. She was all right with Bruce Willis, but really, Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta make the movie. Samuel L. Jackson in particular, but their interaction together is awesome.
Yeah.
They're definitely in all of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, I just remember, I was fairly young at the time this movie came out too, and I remember it just being such a big deal because this movie put Sam Jackson on the map in a big way, though he had been around for like 15 years before then, and it reignited John Travolta's career now. So that's interesting to me, going back and watching it now, because I would not have assumed that from watching this compared to like all the other performances in it. I would say John Travolta's performance was weak by any stretch of the imagination, but it just didn't feel like exceptional. It didn't feel like, to me, it wasn't weak, but it was one of the weaker performances in the movie to me. Like, as far as like just a character standing out in a film filled with standout characters. I mean,
I don't know if I can judge that, but I'd say, my own opinion, him, Samuel L. Jackson, and Bruce Willis are the standout characters.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly have the most screen time, that's for sure.
But aside from that, the story, I think that when I first saw it, I don't remember having seen very many movies that jumped around with like the non-linear storytelling.
I'm not saying it was the first one ever, but it was definitely like a very confused. I remember at the time people being confused by the movie.
Yeah, and so I know that was something I really liked, especially because like at the end it all kind of like comes together. They like start at the diner, end back at the diner, and I remember thinking that was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I specifically remember people being confused. Actually, I think I might have been confused when I snuck and watched the rental VHS copy of it that my mom told me not to watch. Sorry, Mom! I was like, wait a minute, this guy's alive and then he's dead? My little child mind couldn't quite put it all together. And that's one of the funny things about this movie. It's rated R. There's a lot of violence in it, a lot of profanity, a lot of bad things. But it's like the epitome of like a movie for grown people, right? Like, I mean, like, if you're under a certain age, you really can't appreciate this film. I imagine there were 12-year-olds at the time who were like, Pulp Fiction's amazing because they were told that it was amazing, but I can't imagine an actual 12-year-old watching this movie and truly liking this more than, let's say, I don't know, Power Rangers or something, or Transformers or whatever.
There's a lot of crazy violence in the movies, and that would make people like it, even if they didn't understand the story. But watching it as an adult, and I've watched it lots of times as an adult, the dialogue in this movie is so cool. It's so well done, and it's so entertaining in and of itself. Like, there's so many scenes of people just talking that, I don't know, that makes it, even without all the action and the gore, it would totally make this movie still stand on its own, Yeah,
I mean, it's a trademark of Tarantino. It's his dialogue. I mean, you go back to Reservoir Dogs, the first scene, these guys are sitting at a diner talking about Madonna, It's like, it's such a random, strange thing, and it's very rare for dialogue to be that engaging in any TV show or movie or anything you can think of. So the fact that Tarantino was able to make as many films as he has that are just built around, like, they're usually built around crime or violence or something. That's always an aspect of them. But really, they're about people talking.
Yeah,
like,
they're about
that's what
characters.
happens the most. Like, there's very, compared to the amount of talking, there's relatively little action in most of his movies,
And I think his character development through all that dialogue is amazing.
Yeah.
Like from the first scene, you're interested in the couple. You're curious about what their deal is. You think they're weird. And then from the first scene with Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta, where they're just driving in the car and then they're going to shoot up the apartment for the drug deal, you're so entertained and engaged with these characters within like 10 minutes that you enjoy watching them through the entire film.
Yeah.
Rather than him just starting it with them like busting in and shooting everybody up. Like, you have like 10 or 15 minutes of listening to them talk and being like, these guys are cool. They're interesting. What are they all about,
I mean, basically, most Tarantino movies, it's like, they're about what happens before the part that ends up in every other movie. That's probably the bit, or what happens before and after, for that matter. Like, it's like another movie, somebody shoots somebody in the head, blows their brains out. That's the end of the scene. That's it. This movie, it's an entire sequence about them having to clean up the brains, and that's the compelling or strange part about it. And like, and this, I mean, this movie, I guess another thing I really like about it came out in 94. This is back when there was still some weird stuff going on. I mean, I feel like, I don't know if things are just less creative. I guess actually they are definitely less creative than they were before. Like, this is another movie that if it weren't made by Quentin Tarantino today, it would never be made today. So the only person who can make this movie now would be Quentin Tarantino. But anyone else, if they tried to turn this script into a studio, they would be like,
no, they'd be like, this is
too
far out of the norm of movies that we put out.
It's non-linear, it's confusing. All these characters all over the place. They're just talking. There's no action in here. We need to punch up the action. It would be a mess. So I commend it, and I'm happy that Tarantino came up when he did, so he was able to make some of these movies. Because I mean, I would say even now his more recent stuff does feel a little more traditionally structured.
Most definitely.
It's still not. I wouldn't say generic or anything, but more traditionally structured than this movie for sure.
Definitely.
So, all right, well, I mean, come on, it's Pulp Fiction, man. It's Pulp Fiction. We just got to go through some of the standout moments. I think that's pretty good. We'll start with your boy, John Travolta, and the Uma Thurman sequence, okay? So another thing I remember when I was a kid was the dancing scene, him doing this thing or whatever. Like, that was a big thing. And I think the movie is just so iconic, but it's weird for me to watch it so many years removed and think about my own, take on the film, what stands out to me versus what stood out to the rest of the world, it seems. Again, as a kid who didn't see the movie before I heard about a lot of things. So that sequence was cool for sure. I like the dance scene. Again, it was different, you know what I'm saying? But years later for me, I'm not oh wow, that's amazing. Though I do really like the square thing.
When she's in the car. I remember thinking that was really cheesy when I was younger, but now I like it. The thing that stuck out to me is the line, maybe the most famous line, Quentin Tarantino's Bible verse, and I will strike down upon thee, that whole thing. I realized watching it again, the reason everybody remembers that so well is because he says it three times in the entire movie. For whatever reason, in my mind, I only remembered the very first time. And then watching it, I was like, of course everybody remembers this line. He repeats it over and over.
Yeah, well, that's the line everyone remembers, but the line that was the huge thing in pop culture at the time was I'm about to get medieval on your ass, okay? So that's another line that watching the movie again,
it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, it's just it's just a part of a dialogue, it's a part of a paragraph that he's saying, and that I wouldn't necessarily know that's the part I'm pulling out of this, but it was so funny to me that that was I mean, I guess it's always fun to go back and watch some old movies and see the things, kind of digressing here, like Taxi Driver, the "you talking to me" scene where he's in the mirror talking to himself. I always remember people imitating that, or you see it on a spoof or something, and it was the way people delivered it, it was never the way it's in the movie. And again, as I watched the movie, I was like, this is the scene. I was confused. I was like, this is what's going on?
Marcellus Wallace is so calm when he says it. It's not. It's not the way you picture it.
Yeah, it's just not something that you would think would be the standout thing in a movie with a whole bunch of standout dialogue.
Definitely.
So I also do want to digress briefly into the N-word controversy, okay?
N-word controversy, but also racial slurs. Quentin Tarantino threw in 5 racial slurs in the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, and he's all about racial slurs. Especially his, Reservoir Dogs. This one, I can't really remember Jackie Brown at all, so I can't speak to that.
I think it makes it extra noticeable because he's one of the ones in the movie who says the N-word 3 or 4 or 5 times in a scene.
He actually says it more than anybody else.
Yeah,
he might say it more than Sam Jackson.
He does. I'm pretty sure he does, which makes it extra weird.
Yeah, so I mean, and I debate with trying to sort of reconcile what he's going for here. Referencing Reservoir Dogs, it's these are supposed to be despicable characters, they're supposed to be criminals, so they just display their racism openly because they're not nice guys, right? Same deal here, except no. It's just, I mean, there are people who deal with people who have criminal underpinnings or whatever. Obviously this guy knows Sam Jackson's character, not through, he didn't meet at church or whatever.
But he has a black wife.
Yeah, but they have him just stringing out, you think that my house has a sign that says Dad is here and all this stuff, and it's what? And he just goes off and just says it 5 times. And ultimately, it's not even necessary, man.
It doesn't really add anything to
I'm not anti the use of the N-word in every movie ever made, but I do need some context when a white character is just spewing it out. It's almost like Tarantino at that time in his life was I want to be able to use this word. There's only one way I can do it, by writing a character
that will use it. And I'll get to play that character.
Except it makes no sense because the character has a black wife and is dealing with a black man using the word in a derogatory fashion while talking to the black man, and the black man is not flinching. I mean, I might have even felt better about it if, when they walked away, his character
He
would have
was,
been
like,
like, man,
saying it to
I'm about to
himself.
blow his brains out. No.
Yeah.
If Sam Jackson would have been like,
Oh,
can you
he
believe
was upset about
like
it, yeah.
the way he was so like,
Yeah,
but he's just
true.
like, oh no, man, it's all good, it's all good.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't know about that one. That was weird. And yeah, I mean, a bunch of characters use it throughout the course of the film.
Mm-hmm. It happens multiple times. The other ones make more sense for their characters though. Like the guys in the gun shop, with them it never threw me off because they seem like the kind of characters who would.
Yeah, but I mean, I just again, sort of vaguely remember that he had controversies about this in his movies, and I understand because it's like it's too much. Like I don't care how you want to slice it, it's too much. Like
I don't disagree one bit.
It's just like, okay, you throw it in there, that's cool, but like
over and over.
Like
again.
the N-word count in this movie is like 15 or something.
Yeah.
Like,
and not
it's
to
a lot.
mention the character at the very beginning who's using racial slurs is like has a British accent.
Yeah.
And it's like you wouldn't be using these American racial slurs if you were from Britain.
Yeah.
This just wouldn't happen.
Exactly. So
But
so just a weird thing to try to jam in there. A little strange.
a little strange.
And on that same note, I guess we can talk about diversity, right? I guess this film is diverse, right? I mean, like, it's got women in it. It's got African Americans in it. It's got white men in it. Oh, wait. It doesn't have very many Asians in it. It doesn't have any people of Middle Eastern descent. There are no... Well, I guess actually there are some LGBT characters in it as well. Not really portrayed in a positive light, but there are in it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess I would say I can't say the movie's not diverse.
It's diverse. And I think leading Samuel Jackson. Big deal, considering this was like his big break and maybe one of maybe the role he's most famous for.
Yeah, I would say it's the one he's most famous for. Certainly, I mean, I don't feel like he's done anything that's been as iconic as this for sure.
But speaking of women, the portrayal of women in this movie is not great. I can't think of one woman in this movie that I'd want to hang out with or can really get behind as a character.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, they're all pretty nuts. Too many of them are on drugs or just completely weak and insecure and crazy, and you can't deal with them. So yeah. But he doesn't have a good reputation for portraying women positively, anyways. This is another controversy he has in lots of films. Is the way that he portrays women.
Yeah, if there are any at all. Again, I mean, Reservoir Dogs. I don't think there is a woman in the movie.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, yeah.
He makes very male-centric movies.
Yeah, very male-centric movies. Bad track record of female characters, let alone good ones. And I mean, I hate to talk so much about the man's catalog, but he's Quentin Tarantino. He's one of the greatest of all time, so you got to. Hateful Eight's coming up soon, and that has one woman in it. And according to the trailer, she's a prisoner. That's all I got. So I don't think this one's going to be much better. But I do feel like there might be a twist going on there with that.
From the trailer, it looks like maybe she's the one who comes out on top. I'm hoping for that.
We'll see. But yeah. But let's just keep talking about Pulp Fiction. So I don't know. What else we want to call? Are we cool? Or any other standout moments you want to discuss?
Well, we didn't talk about Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis gets to have some really cool lines. The Zed's Dead line. It's pretty cool. And when he goes back to save Marcellus Wallace, that's pretty cool. I thought the funniest part was that he chose a sword of every weapon. He's in a pawn shop with guns, and he went down there with a sword.
Yeah.
And felt so confident using it, too.
Hey, he's a boxer. You know what I'm saying?
He's a boxer. He knows how to use a sword.
He could have just gone down there with his bare hands, and he would have been okay.
Mm-hmm.
But his decision to turn back and help him out was pretty interesting, and I kind of like how it's like, the beef squash. But just again, even that, honestly, you want to talk about racial stuff. Don't want to read too much into it, but I think it's odd that he let the black character get anally raped or whatever in that scene. Could have been
it could have been.
It could have been the other way around.
But the story wouldn't have been able to follow the same way.
Or he could have just not got raped at all.
Yeah, or he could have just not gotten raped. He could have been tied up down there, and Bruce Willis got away and went back and helped him. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scene is maybe the most brutal. For sure the most brutal in the movie. I remember being really shocked by it when I was, however young I was when I saw this.
And again,
I couldn't believe that was real.
Yeah, exactly. Yet another example of something that probably wouldn't find its way in a movie today. Sort of like
not as big a mainstream.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe a movie will
like
it has been made recently that
movie,
had that, but it's not going to be the biggest freaking thing ever.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So this again another reason we love to do Throwback Thursdays because it's a trip down memory lane. I'm always trying. Look, we're just trying to help the world out. That's what we're trying to do. We want to encourage people to watch older movies, man. You ain't got to just watch the new stuff. Go watch older stuff. It's good.
Definitely.
All right, that's
on
it.
that note.
Great. All right. So that's going to conclude this episode of Throwback Thursday. Again, I am MJ. You can follow me on Twitter at @theonlymj, and she is.
I'm Alex Storm, and you can follow me at AlexStormTMT, as in the Modern Truth.
And themoderntruth.com is where you can find all of our Throwback Thursday videos, movie discussions, and all the news you need to know. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Take care.